Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today we will be going over paratroopers, a very uncommon unit that I have not seen people use all that much, to be honest. Um, so it doesn't really matter which paratrooper unit you go over; they're basically all the same. I mean, the communists have less damage, and the Axis have more damage. And other than that, that's about it that I know of. So really, we're going to be talking about how to counter these. Now, we're going to be going over the parachute troopers. We're going to be going over level 2. Um, as I believe level 1. Uh, yeah, we're going to be going over level 2. So, the average damage is 6.8 with an unarmored damage of 11. It has partial stealth, it's convertible, converts on attack, and it's an aircraft. Its unarmored attack and defense is both 11. So they're really good. Like, all paratroopers are really good against infantry. They're okay against light armor and against heavy armor. 5.5, 5.5 for light armor, and 4.4 and 4.0 and 4.0 for heavy armor attack and defense. They get 25% attack on hills and a 50% attack in the forest, and a 50% speed in mountains. So really the best ways to counter these is if you know, and I barely see anyone ever use these ever. From what I know of, I'm the only one that uses them. Um, the best way to counter paratroopers is if you know your opponent or enemy is using them. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to have troops on standby next, like, strategic locations. So that would either be infantry, or tanks, more specifically tanks, since infantry might be a bit tough, especially if they're in stacks. You want to go with tanks, light or medium. Heavy works as well, but I feel like that's a bit of a waste, a bit of overkill. Um, and rocket artillery, SP and basic rocket artillery. That's what you want to be able to use to be able to counter them effectively. That's if they land behind your lines. You want to be able to have some type of unit, like, ready behind your lines. Now, if you think your opponent's going to use them and they never do, and you've got troops in the back of your lines, and then you end up losing or whatever because, well, you didn't have your full military power there, that's a bit of an issue. So you only need to do it if you know your opponent is using them. That's an important thing. Only do it if you know your opponent uses them. In the air, the best way to counter them is with interceptors, or anti-aircraft. Both anti-air and SPA, SPAA and anti-air. Best ways to counter those. If they land in the ground, if they like land somewhere, if you know where they're gonna land, if you're wanting to use infantry, mechanized, commandos, you either want to use mechanized or commandos. Motorized infantry works as well. If you're going to do infantry, it needs to be in stacks, like higher stacks. Militia, maybe, but I suggest you really leave those for cities. Tanks work as well. Light tanks, medium tanks. You can do armored cars and you can do heavy tanks. I just find heavy tanks to be a little bit of overkill for those, since that's better on the front lines, especially allied ones, which we will be going over later. And there is a difference between allied heavy tanks and Axis heavy tanks, I feel like. And armored cars, I mean, you can use them, just make sure they're like level 2 or 3. Or at least, because in case there's stacks or whatever. So those are the best ways to counter them, to be honest. Again, they are pretty hard to counter, but those would be the best ways to counter them. As they can basically land anywhere within your country as long as there's spots. So, again, to shoot them down from the sky, interceptors, or anything that can do damage. Attack bombers, especially for the Allied, can do pretty good damage, against air in stacks. but you mostly want interceptors. So that's it for today. I will be posting here shortly the Netherlands beginning guide for what I think is best. Again, everyone plays differently, but this is what I think is best. So that is it for today. Subscribe, like, helps my new channel. Thank you, and I shall have a good day. See you later.